Welcome, my name is Ryan Belkoff. Today we are going to apply OCRA, so the occupational repetitive action method. And our task today will be mac and cheese. So from this lecture, you should be able to use the OCRA assessment, estimate the risk, and make recommendations. So unfortunately, the embedded video is not working, but this comes from a student group that did an assessment of a backing cheese. So they are backing goat cheese on these cheese wheels. So pretty fancy cheese. Um, so there's a lot of things I want to tell you about this 4-minute video that's not working so you can make this assessment. But just for a background, why the students were invited, this cheese factory actually had a lot of carpal tunnel incidents, not necessarily from the bagging, but the factory in general. So the first part of the OCRA checklist, we fill out the subject's or worker's name, department tasks, those type of things on the top header. Then we're looking at duration. So they're working 8 hours, but as you can see, the active duration is a little less than 8 hours. So that 8 hours is 140 minutes. So they're working at 140 with breaks here, a little bit of breaks, not too much, pretty continuous, only a 45-minute break. You insert this over here to the multiplier, and that's going to carry down. So since it is less than 140, that applies. Sorry, I skipped over to the next one. So then we're looking at static postures versus the force. So this guy, as you can see, the students calculated 7 technical actions. So they pick it up off the table, they put it on there. So there's not that much lifting. The board scale usually, if you look on this, is pretty low to moderate. So 4 here. When they wrap it, they actually don't pick it up, they roll it and then they spin it. So the maximal force is up there a little bit, but it's only 10% of the time. Also, with this OCRA, you're doing it on each side, the left versus the right. As you can see, there's a lot of zeros here, and it's pretty symmetric when they're doing that. Same for both sides. And that's this task per minute. So remember, we're looking at 30 actions per minute. And as you can see, the cycle here is 17, so much lower. So when you look at the modifiers, there are a whole bunch of zeros here. So looking at posture with this cheese backing, first we have the 4 joint size looking at for OCRA. So shoulder. So if we go to, they're not actually raising their shoulder very much, so just barely. So the students rated at 2, which I think is pretty accurate. So less than 10% are they raising it above, are doing above that 80 degrees or 20 degrees abduction. Elbow, though, however, when they spin it and lift the wheel, there are beyond that 90 degrees, at least more than 50% of the time. So that's a 4 here. And then wrist, that wrist, as you can see on the picture below, is pretty straight. There is some ulnar deviation throughout the task, but it's less than that 20 degrees. So we're going to give that a 0, so pretty straight. And then the finger grips, there's lots of finger grips on this to hook it and wrap it. And they're doing that a good part of the time, so at least 50%. So the students rated it at 2. You look at the high score of that, it is a 4 for the posture. Then we're looking at those technical actions. Remember from the last slide, it was 17 seconds for that cycle. And so that's more than the 15 seconds. So we're going to say yes, and that's going to transfer a 1.5. You add the 4 and the 1.5, you get 5.5 for this page. And then the additional factors. So we're looking at vibrations, tools, the grip, the precision, those type of things. So going through it, are there gloves? So we're saying yes. Vibration at least 30% of the time. I'm surprised there was a 2 on this actually. Oh, actually, sorry, those are all zeros. So they said all the additional factors do not apply to this. So it's 0 over here. And that the same thing with the work paced by the machine. The worker did say they are very self-paced, so it's 0 on that. So total, we get a 5.5. So the last section, you want to add them all together, we got a 7.47. So if you remember right, the checklist has a much higher score ranking, even though they have similar categories. So that really high risk was 22, but that 7 is pretty much the lowest risk category. So let's look at those risk categories here. Oops. So notice the checklist is the first one. So that simpler one, again, that 22 is high, and then it has the 5 different categories. So whereas the original one, 9 was actually high. So the cheese wrapping on for the OCRA checklist is acceptable. So that wraps up OCRA. So hopefully you can be able to know when to use the tool, and then apply that tool and make recommendations. Thank you so much for your time.